day you're watching Agenda. Sitting in for Cito Beltran, I'm Ed Lingao. We are one news, all sides, all the time. Let's begin the program with today's starter quote. Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. That's from Matthew 12:25. And now let's take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. Gilbert Chidoro's first task, fix the military and uniformed personnel or MUP pension system. Chidoro revealed on Wednesday that this is the marching order President Bongbong Marcos himself. Heading to intensify into a typhoon. The tropical cyclone is forecast to strengthen into a typhoon between today and tomorrow morning, but is not yet expected to directly bring rainfall to the country. The DOJ summons Teves over political killings. The Negros Oriental Congressman Arnolfo Teves Jr. has been summoned in connection with the murder complaints filed against him. And 700,000 families to graduate from the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program are 4 Ps, as revealed by Social Welfare Chief Rex Gatchalian. The Philippines received over 390,000 doses of bivalent COVID-19 vaccines from Lithuania earlier this week. One expert believes that we need more of the supply. And to understand this better, let's first watch this.
Our country's current supply of bivalent vaccines is insufficient. This is according to infectious disease expert Dr. Rontgene Solante. Solante said that 390,000 doses of bivalent COVID-19 vaccines donated by Lithuania are not enough to vaccinate healthcare workers and senior citizens. What should the government do about this?
Dr. Rontgene Solante is a well-established infectious disease expert in the country. He currently serves as the head of San Lazaro Hospital's Adult Infectious Diseases and Tropical Medicine Unit.
Okay, we have with us this morning Dr. Rontgene Solante himself. Sir, magandang gabi. Oh, sorry, magandang gabi. Different program. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Ed. Good morning, and good morning also to our viewers.
Yes, sir. Well, of course, good news is that we have 390,000 doses of bivalent, finally, bivalent vaccines. The bad news is it's only 390,000. I know it's only donated, but before we go into the details of that, basics muna, bivalent vaccines. What should we know about bivalent vaccines and why is it important?
Yes, Ed, no, napakaganda nitong bivalent vaccine, no, dahil ang formulation kasi nito ngayon is it included already the Omicron subvariant, no, the B2 and the B5. Tandaan natin, for the past years now, almost 1 year and a half plus na ang Omicron is still the one dominating, no, the most prevalent na COVID virus, no, infecting people now. This formulation, remember, Ed, the BA.2 is also the mother of the XBB. So the XBB is now the dominant among the different sub lineage of the Omicron, and there is an expected protection with this, specifically with the XBB. So far, if we're going to get the bivalent vaccine, this is a very good vaccine in protecting us against severe infections, especially for those who are vulnerable, the elderly population. And for those healthcare workers na nagtatrabaho sa mga hospital, then additional protection against getting the infection. No? So, I mean, everything is in this particular vaccine advantage, and in terms of safety, adverse event, more or less, pareho lang naman to doon sa monovalent vaccine.
Well, sir, obviously, no question there na it's something that we would want to have. Pero, of course, you're looking at limited numbers, limited supply, at a time when, well, actually, at the time when a lot of people don't even bother with vaccines of COVID-19 anymore. I mean, you look at our rates for boostering, hindi na talaga umangat eh. So how should we look at the bivalence? Is it something that is really urgent for people to get? Especially number one, kukunti lang siya. And number two, may priority list ka. And most of us are probably not in the priority list right now.
When we talk about the vulnerable population, yung prioritization natin, the healthcare workers and the elderly population, itong 390,000 doses, talagang kulang yan. No? Sa healthcare workers pa lang, abutin tayo ng almost 800 to 1 million ang healthcare workers. And we have heard most of the hospitals now are already preparing their list of the healthcare workers. And majority talaga ang mga hospitals talagang gustong-gusto na ang mga healthcare workers makatanggap na ng bivalent, no? And basically because of its advantage over the monovalent. Now, yung vulnerable population natin, Ed, yung 65 years old and above is around 4 to 6 million yan eh. So kung the intention here is to really protect, prioritizing these two groups, then talagang maging kulang, no? And I don't see any problem with the hesitancy now dahil ang mga tao ngayon, especially these two groups, are excited to get the bivalent dahil nga doon sa nakikitang advantage over that of the monovalent vaccine.
Yes, sir. But that's for those two groups. Okay. Let's assume that we're able to get enough vaccines for those two groups. What about the rest? What about the general population among other people?
Yes, ang direction kasi nito na if we're going to recommend this to other population like the immunocompromised, those with comorbidities, then this will be the next booster dose, no? Gusto ko lang linawin, Ed, na for those who have received the first and second booster sa general population, they're not yet candidate for this bivalent vaccine, no? But again, with the principle na nakikita natin na ang protection nagwi-wane 6 months or 8 months after. So, ibig sabihin, halimbawa, nag-recommend tayo ngayon ng second booster sa general population, 6 months after, din ito pa rin ang ibibigay natin kung magbibigay ulit tayo ng recommendation for additional protection sa general population.
Sir, okay. Itong 390,000, these are donated by Lithuania. Hindi pa ito yung ating nine-negotiate, di ba? For actual purchasing. Am I getting that right? And number two, once we get to the actual purchases, do we know how much we're supposed to be getting? Do we know how much we're budgeting to get?
Actually, Ed, wala talaga yan doon sa calendar ng purchase, no? Kung ginagamit natin ngayon, we're really waiting for the donations. Yung isang donation nito is yung almost 1 million doses coming from the COVAX facility. And ito nga yung sa Lithuania, no? Now, I think it's important that if ever the Department of Health and the government in general will really make COVID vaccination a regular vaccination program or part doon sa vaccination program natin, then there should be estimates of allocation who should receive this in the next batch of the allocation.
Doc, so we are not yet at that point where we're actually negotiating for the purchase of the bivalent vaccines. Wala pa tayo doon. We're only looking so far at donations pa lang.
Yes, Ed. Wala tayong tinitingnan ng mga allocations that the government will buy the bivalent. No? So, ang hinihintay lang natin ngayon in so far as the additional tier of getting the bivalent vaccine is the approval of the CPR of the FDA, so that there also be interest, if there are interested private sector or yung mga hospitals who wants to get it for their patients, for the vulnerable populations, then that is an added layer that we can also purchase the vaccine.
Sige, sir. But I'll get to the possibility of purchasing the vaccines in a little bit. Doon muna ako dun sa government acquisition of bivalent vaccines. Why is it that we're not yet at that point where we're negotiating or looking into purchasing bivalent vaccines? Are we already beyond that point as far as large-scale purchases of vaccines for the general public are concerned? Wala tayo dun or no?
Yes, correct, Ed, no? Because we already the WHO has already lifted the public health emergency, no? So yung state of calamity natin na lift na rin, so nawala na yung urgency or yung tinatawag natin na next batch na talagang we are obliged to give the vaccine during that part of the emergency use of this vaccine, no? So in fact, with that declaration of lifting the public health emergency, kasama doon, Ed, ang recommendation ng WHO that we should treat this as a long-term disease. So which means that if we are going to implement vaccination program, isasali na natin siya doon sa regular life course vaccination program ng bansa, kagaya ng pagtanggap natin ng flu vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine. So isasali na rin natin siya na at this point hindi pa natin nakikita yung ganong klaseng recommendation.
Sir, linawin ko lang po am I getting this right? As far as bivalent vaccines are concerned, hanggang donations na lang ang asahan natin from the government. The next step na after donations of bivalent vaccines will have to be actual purchases na on the commercial level. Is that right? Or did I get lost somewhere?
Yes, correct, Ed. No, so once the CPR will be approved, then it will be purchase. Either the government will purchase it, or the private sector can purchase it. So it's something that marami ka ng possibility where to get it. But again, the guidance of using it will still be coming from the government or the Department of Health.
Yes, sir. So in practical terms, sir, you're saying in practical terms, for the general public, hintayin na lang natin yung bentahan talaga ng vaccines.
Correct. Yun yung hinihintay natin, because once it will be approved as a CPR, then itong mga clinical societies that are doing also giving the recommendation will also give the guidance kung sino yung pwedeng makakatanggap ditong bivalent vaccine sa general population or the other populations.
Sir, doon naman tayo sa CPR. We've been talking about that for quite some time. If I recall correctly, parang November, December pala siya napag-usapan yung certificate of product registration for the commercial purchase and sale of vaccines. Where are we exactly with that right now?
As I've heard from the FDA, I think they already filed both Pfizer and Moderna. Has filed the application for CPR, and I think it's just a matter of time that anytime it will be able to get the CPR. What date cannot tell, but hopefully soonest time possible. Sana hindi naman umabot ng mga November, December yan. If it will be this month or next month, mas maganda yan dahil alam natin na kailangan pa rin talaga natin itong bakuna.
Wala namang sabit doon sa, as far as you can tell, wala namang sabit doon sa CPR. For example, these products are already being sold ba in other countries commercially?
Yes, in other countries this has already been sold in some very few countries pa lang na nabigyan din ng CPR, but some of these countries, like mga developing countries, they are still nakukuha nila ito through sa donation pa rin ng COVAX facility and from other countries who has excess vaccine, kagaya ng ginagawa ng Pilipinas.
For example, sir, in the US, what do we know in the US? Is it being sold commercially na? Hindi pa?
Yes, nabigyan na siya ng product registration sa US and also in UK, So ito yung dalawang bansa na talagang nabigyan na yung approval niya na pwede na silang maka-purchase outside of the government purchase.
Kasi sir, there was earlier some talk na na baka may hesitancy, at least some talk na may hesitancy ilang pharma companies because of wala nang indemnification fund kung commercial sale ng mga vaccines. Was there any truth to that to begin with?
Yes, normal naman yan sa mga bakuna, when you will be putting this into commercial use, nandun pa rin yan based on the experience doon sa Dengvaxia, but I would like to correct that. Alam mo ba, Ed, nung Dengvaxia, it was also sold sa private, So walang problema sa private kasi mas mabilis ang dissemination, mas mabilis ang purchase sa private. At walang nag-file ng ganong kaso. Yung kaso kasi ng Dengvaxia emanates from the government program na akala nila na binibigay lang doon sa mga bata na without looking at the possibility of the adverse reaction. So alam naman natin nangyayari yun. But for once it will be given a CPR and it will be implemented, especially sa private sector, I don't think that indemnification will now be very important. Kasi pag ikaw yung private, ikaw yung magpabakuna, then nandun na yung kasama na yun yung risk na gusto mong magpabakuna pero you know that there is a risk, so walang ano doon in terms of indemnification.
So sir, as far as yung general public is concerned, you might as well wait for the commercial sale. Is that correct?
Yes.
Kasi mukhang hindi naman talaga aabot yung mga donations sa atin.
Kasi ang tingin ko dyan, Ed, mukhang hindi rin yan i-recommend sa public, sa general population. Uunahin pa rin yung, kung halimbawa po purchase man ng government, ang nakita ko dyan, uunahin pa rin yung mga vulnerable population, compromised with comorbid conditions. So which means it will just be purchasing a very limited number of vaccines just to cover for this population, but not for the general public.
But you sound pretty confident na within this month or next month, pasok na yan for commercial sale.
Yes, dapat, no? Kasi kung final nila ng December yan, and when you look at the timeline in terms of CPR, dapat ganun, mga 6 months the most, no? Is the timeline na kompleto na yung mga evaluation at saka yung requirements coming from this pharmaceutical or coming from the FDA.
Sir, last question dun sa issue ng COVID-19. How does it look so far for the Philippines as far as COVID is concerned? I mean, so of course we do see once in a while yung mga numbers, but at this point kasi parang the numbers don't seem to be digging in anymore in the public mind. I suppose that's a good sign. If you look at the numbers, parang although minsan gumaganon-ganon, yung hospitalization naman hindi naman umakyat.
Yes, I think it's because ang mga tao ngayon hindi na natatakot sa COVID, no? Because they see a lot of their mga kababayan or kamag-anak or kaibigan na nag-COVID and majority fully recovered, no? With antivirals like molnupiravir or Paxlovid. Pangalawa, konti na lang yung na-hospital, nagka-severe. So I think in terms of complacency, nakikita na natin yan. Makikita mo sa mga areas ngayon. Hindi na nga nagpa-face mask ang mga tao, no? But I think in that instance, Ed, no? There will be still people who will be vulnerable to get the severe infection. And that is the elderly population and the immunocompromised.
For example, sir, sa San Lazaro, what are you seeing there? At least on the surface, what's it look like as far as COVID is concerned?
Our occupancy rate now sa hospitalization rate is only like 15%, no, out of the bed capacity allocated. At yung mga nag-severe siguro mga 20%, no. So meaning hindi naman kami na zero dito, but parang normal, regular na lang na we get to see COVID admission every week na parang influenza, parang pneumonia, parang tuberculosis na mga ganon ang trend.
Is it fair to say that we're already hitting that point where it's already endemic? I know that word has been bandied around so much in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been overused na nga, but are we really there now? Are we getting there?
Most likely, no? Mukhang nandoon na tayo sa ganong klaseng mga description na parang ordinary flu na pwedeng severe, pwede ring majority are mild, no? So I think we are on that level or situation. And I say it is our COVID situation is stable. Nalampasan na natin yung Arcturus na mga surge. Unlike other countries, talagang mataas ang mga kaso until now, pero I think we are in a better place now compared to several years ago.
Certainly, sir. Sir, lipat ako sa ibang topic naman, sir. Yung ating bagong health secretary, finally after a full year, almost a full year in office, by June 30, now an appointment as a permanent secretary for Dr. Ted Herbosa. I'm sure you're also aware that a lot of people are asking, why did it take the president a full year to appoint somebody who was not even banned from being appointed to public office? Kasi hindi naman tumakbo si Dr. Ted. I mean, he was not a candidate, not like Gibo Chodoro, na may 1-year ban after losing an election. Si Dr. Ted was free all this time. And now, finally, he was appointed. Do you have any idea why that long wait before the appointment was made?
Alam mo yun, pareho tayo ng tanong. Hindi ko rin alam bakit why it took this long, no, for the administration to really appoint one. No? Ang mga nakikita ko lang dito siguro may mga in-offer to sa mga may mga in-offer na position to sa ibang mga doktor na I think there were some hesitations because of mahirap din hawakan ang Department of Health, the challenges that we will be facing in the next years, especially with this ongoing COVID and the other problems of the health like tuberculosis, HIV. So siguro nakita ko lang na may mga na-offer pero hesitant to get it or talagang hinahanap pa talaga nila yung tao na will really be accepting the work and willing to work for the government and improve the healthcare system, the health of the Philippines.
Well, pero sir, this is the best time to accept that position. I mean, in the last 3 years.
Yes, at least meron na tayong Secretary of Health, no, that at least at this point in time alam na natin kung ano maging direction ng Secretary of Health natin at narinig naman natin the past few days priority pa rin ang pandemic preparedness, addressing HIV, tuberculosis and yung tinatawag natin na universal healthcare.
But yung nga sir, I suppose people are also wondering if you were going to wait for 1 full year before an appointment of a full-time secretary at the time pa na pababa na yung pandemya and mayroon ng bivalent vaccines na dumarating, bakit hindi pa tinuloy si Dr. Berhere?
Okay, so well let's move on with that kasi talagang and in fairness naman Ed, no, kay Yusek Berhere, she really did a very good job, no?
Yeah, certainly.
No? So maganda rin ang pinakita niyang trabaho. She showed how competent she is in terms of the different programs na itatawid niya, no? And sa tingin ko, that vacuum of 1 year, parang hindi ko nakikita yon. It's just that naging si Yusek ang nagiging ano noon, no? So that's still an important 1 year na maski wala tayong SOH, but there was a person in the person of Yusek Berhere na naitawid niya tayo in terms of the program.
And of course, si Dr. Berhere was the face of the fight against COVID-19 in the last 2.5 to 3 years, even more than the past secretary. Diba? She was the face on TV almost every day.
Yes, correct, no. At saka hindi biro yung ginagawa niya every day, no. She was the one referred to for problems doon sa Department of Health, doon sa pandemic, mga meetings. It's just so enormous, no. And I really admire her integrity at saka yung competency, no, na talagang maganda naman ang pagdala niya natin during the time na siya yung nagiging OIC sa Department of Health.
Sir, cambio ako sir. Si Dr. Ted Herbosa naman, the new secretary. What do you foresee for Dr. Ted Herbosa, given what you know about him, given his experience, and given the challenges facing Dr. Ted Herbosa? For example, number one, where do you think he will have some issues or challenges as secretary? And number two, any strengths, whatever strengths he has?
Okay, unahin ko yung strength niya, no, because he is also a public health service doctor, no, having been working also with Department of Health as USEC, no, and also in academe and in the emergency medicine, no. So mukhang in terms of competency, I don't have any question about him, no. Integrity, he's willing, matagal na siyang talagang gusto niya tong Department of Health, so makikita mo yung integrity siguro dyan, kasama din yan, no? Now, I think as a Department of Health, no, importante dito yung how he will be able to engage other sectors with high stakes health system natin, no? Particularly working with private sector, medical societies, including yung mga financing system natin sa government, no, with PhilHealth and also with Congress, yung mga batas na gusto nating i-implement to institute reforms sa health system natin, and more importantly, no, yung engagement niya with other sectors, including the healthcare workers sectors. Napaka-importante niyan to move forward, and I hope he will prioritize yung mga sinasabi niya to engage all of these sectors so that at least matutulungan din natin siya at importante yung mga ganong mga collaboration, Ed.
Yes, sir. What about the challenges? He's also been controversial in the past. He was also controversial. Do you foresee any issues that may be raised against him or may get in the way of his doing his job?
Well, yung mga controversy niya sa noon, kasi alam mo naman ang ano natin na if you are there on top of that position, talagang palagi kang babatuhin yan, no? At palagi kang i-remind doon sa mga nangyayari sa experience mo, controversy mo. So I hope ang challenge lang niya, probably siguro how to deal with it, and I hope he will also make some reforms na papatunayan niya na yung mga allegations before are not true. So I think this is the time that he will also be able to prove to them that if ever those are allegations na nakita sa kanya nung he was USEC, patunayan niya na hindi ito totoo and move on with that.
Well, sir, you mentioned other things as well, maliban sa COVID-19, other things on the table for the DOH. Could we go through them for example, after COVID-19, what other major issue is there for the DOH Secretary to try to handle or tackle?
Ed, ang nakita ko talaga dito, no, yung maipapatupad na yung universal healthcare, no, kasi ang daming matatamaan nitong magandang impact ng universal healthcare, no. The bottom line of this program is really serving the population, both poor and those who can afford, at yung service na may bibigay nito in terms of disease prevention, okay? Napakaganda nitong programa na ito and I hope maski sa term niya mapaganda niya ang health system through the implementation of the universal healthcare. Napakalaking bagay na nitong accomplishment sa term niya. Of course, the other problem now, yung mga chronic diseases, no, yung mga cancer, napakamahal ng mga gamot nitong cancer, and in fact in one international meeting, it's really the third world countries that suffers a lot in terms of itong mga pag-purchase nitong mga mahal na gamot, and I hope he can also make some important reforms on how to access highly effective but safe and cheaper drugs against these mga chronic diseases like diabetes and cancer.
Sir, you mentioned kanina tuberculosis eh. I was just curious kasi nagka-TB ako dati rin eh. So meron akong personal stake din doon eh. How are we as far as that is concerned?
Well, ang tuberculosis talaga natin ngayon, no, despite the government effort, talagang medyo mahirap i-control. After the pandemic, tumataas ang tuberculosis natin. Yung concern natin ngayon, yung multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, no. So alam natin ang sakit na tuberculosis is related more on poverty, no, yung mga nagkakabit-kabit na mga bahay na walang isolation areas. I think it is not purely a health issue. There is also economic issue on that. Dapat siguro it should be collaborative in terms of addressing that particular problem.
Pero as far as the numbers are concerned sa TB, sir, are they still going up? Kasi it's been a while since matagal na tayong merong gamot sa TB. I still remember, fampisin pa nga ating cocktail na binibigay sa akin dati.
Yes, Ed, we're still one of the 20 countries contributing 80% of the total population of TB globally, no? So hindi pa tayo naalis doon. So ibig sabihin, ganun pa rin kataas ang ang tuberculosis natin, no? Now the treatment, there are new treatments now, but it still entails 6 months treatment, no? But the new treatment is in the side of the multi-drug resistant TB, very expensive but highly effective also. So we are good with TB. Siguro ang pinaka-importante lang is finding those na hindi pa na-diagnose and treating them, kasi ito yung talagang source ng transmission sa community.
I remember nga 6 months dati talaga eh. Tapos araw-araw, and then at least dati nung 1990s talagang isang katerbang tableta iinumin mo eh. Ngayon natin isa na lang ata eh.
Yes, yun ang maganda ngayon kasi konti na lang yung tableta ngayon, no? So in terms of compliance, madali nang mainom ng mga pasyente at saka less yung side effect, no? So maganda naman ang takbo ng treatment management ng TB. It's just that a lot of those that with TB are not yet fully on treatment, no? Kaya mataas pa rin ang transmission sa community.
And if I remember correctly, sir, di ba, that's already given for free sa mga government health centers. I mean, yung mga gamot. So you don't really have to spend for it, if I recall correctly.
Yes, correct. No, in fact, talagang ginagastusan ng government niyan, no, every year para lang at least hindi pwedeng ibibenta, hindi tayo pwedeng mas maganda pa rin yung libre at saka maengganyo ang mga tao na magpakonsulta at magpagamot dahil libre siya.
Well, last question, sir. I know it sounds simple to all of us these days, pero how do you know if you have that or not? I mean, if you're not somebody, and most of the people in the Philippines are not. If you're not somebody who goes to the doctor regularly for a checkup, anong kailangan bantayan? How do you know that you have it?
Yes, unang-una, no, pag meron ka ng weight loss na hindi mo ma-explain bakit nangangayayat ka, no?
Hindi na ako yan.
Pangalawa, yung ubo na tumatagal ng more than a week na, maski nag-antibiotic ka, nandun pa rin yung ubo, siguro kailangan mo nang magpatingin. Tapos, importante din yung mga lagnat. Although yung lagnat, hindi ganun ka-common yan, no? Pero talaga yung ubo at saka yung nangangayayat, yun yung pinaka-most common na mga manifestation. Punta na kaagad sa kasi minsan may mga pasyente tayo, Ed, na walang ubo pero meron palang tuberculosis. Kita kaagad sa X-ray nung nagpa-check up lang sila, no? So ito kasi yung mga population na walang mga ubo masyado, hindi nila alam na meron silang TB, but when they have TB already, late na at marami na silang nahawaan.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a pretty full morning for today. Sir, maraming salamat, Dr. Rontgene Solante, infectious disease expert, and also I think the president now of the Philippine College of Physicians. Tama, sir, no?
Yes, Ed. Yes, Ed.
Okay, sir. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning. Dr. Rontgene Solante, Agenda will return. Keep it here on One News, all sides, all the time.
The Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court, Branch 256 on Wednesday, denied the bail petition of former Senator Leila de Lima for her remaining drug case. This is the only drug case before the Muntinlupa Court, as the two other cases against the former senator have been dismissed. De Lima's brother Vicente admitted they are saddened over the decision. What does the former senator's camp plan to do next? That is the center of today's agenda.
Attorney Dino De Leon serves as the legal counsel of former Senator Leila de Lima. De Leon is a partner at the De Leon Arevalo Gonzalez Law Offices.
And this morning, we're fortunate to have with us Attorney Dino De Leon. Sir, magandang umaga. I almost said the wrong program again.
Magandang umaga, and sa lahat.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us today. Sir, nagulat ako kahapon kasi all along, and I suppose a lot of people are expecting the same thing, they were expecting na yung third case, mas medyo planchado na ng konti, at least yung bail petition, because nga of what happened in the past. Number one, yung pag-acquit dun sa second case, or first two cases, at number two, yung recantation nga ng mga major witnesses. And suddenly, I think Judge Buenaventura, di ba? Judge Buenaventura says na, well, the evidence looks strong against De Lima, so denied ang bail petition. Sir, let me start off with something very, very basic for most people. They're confused. You're looking at 3 drug cases, or you were looking at 3 drug cases. Anong kaiba nilang tatlo? At ba't hiniwa-hiwalay pa? Ba't hindi nilang pinag-isa ng korte? Kung halos pareho lang naman, yung mga kaso.
Okay, from the start, sinabi nga namin na dapat makonsolidate yung mga cases na to. No? Pero ang sinasabi ng prosecution, iba-iba daw yung material dates. No? So iba-iba yung witnesses nila sa iba. Pare-pareho, maraming pareho, pero meron silang mga ini-indicate na dates. No? Meron yung bago mag 2014, after 2014, before 2016. Itong huling kaso ito yung before 2016. No? So ang pinagkaiba lang nito is yung material dates ng alleged drug trading.
Okay. Yung petsa lang nagkatalo kung kailan nangyari yung ano.
Mga petsa, at syempre, medyo, dahil iba yung petsa, iba rin ang kaunting-kaunti lamang ang witness nila with respect to doon sa alleged trading, doon sa petsa na yon. Pero everyone else, halos pareho yung sinasabi, yung mga witnesses nila na merong drug trading sa loob ng binibid, which is yung convicted felons, pareho rin yung mga, yung sa raid, pareho rin yung sa PIDEA, pareho rin yung sa AMLAC, pareho na lahat, except lang yung doon sa nagsasabi ng alleged drug trading on a material date. Pero ang common denominator sa kanila lahat sila convicted criminals.
That was the point of confusion for a lot of people kasi practically all 3 of them alleged na nag-drug trading at yung proceeds ng drug trading pumunta doon sa kampanya ni Senadora De Lima. Sir, for example, in the second case, and this, if I recall correctly, it was for the allegation was violation of dangerous drugs law dun sa sale, distribution, and all of illegal drugs, and of course as well as allegedly extortion. That was dismissed. Itong pangatlo, conspiracy or tolerating the sale of illegal drugs. Parang napaka-liit ng kaibahan ng dalawa.
Lahat sila actually conspiracy to commit drug trading. Lahat silang tatlo. So, ang pinagkaiba lang talaga yung material dates. No? Kaya sinasabi nila 3 counts. 3 separate counts, hence 3 trials. Sabi nga namin, dapat talaga na-consolidate para at least yung mga pare-pareho naman lang witnesses, isang huwes na lang ang nakinig. Tapos, yung mga ibang witnesses sa alleged each count, yun na lang ipipresenta for each docketed case, no? Pero yun, hindi nangyari yung consolidation.
I get what you mean, sir, that your original petition was to consolidate everything. Pero how does it usually go with the court when it comes to an allegation of this kind? Nagkaiba ang petsa, paghihiwalay? Is that something that is usually typically done?
Oo, lalong-lalo na kung pareho naman yung tenor ng accusations, no? Meron lang konting pagkakaiba, usually kino-consolidate siya, lalo na kung substantially related yung facts ng case, dapat kino-consolidate siya usually.
Okay, sir, let me go to the witnesses na ngayon. Kasi, di ba, one of the major reasons kung bakit na-acquit si Senator De Lima nung second case is yung recantation ni dating Bucor Chief Rafael Ragos, tsaka ni yung kanyang dating security aide si Ronnie Dayan. So those recantations played a major role, I suppose, dun sa dismissal ng second case. Are Dayan and Ragos witnesses in the third case? I know I asked you this before, pero not in this program. So for our viewers, for their benefit, it might be good for them to know. Are they involved in this case at all? Are they testimonies or witnesses in this case? And because if they are, then would it have any impact or any bearing on how the case will flow?
Pero tingin ko muna yung una, no? They are not witnesses in this particular case. But regardless of whether they're witnesses or not, we believe that the recantation of the previous witnesses other cases are still related and material in this case. Bakit? Kasi ang pinapakita noon ay yung consistency ng fact pattern. Ano ba yung consistent fact pattern, di ba? Right from the very start, alam naman ng lahat ng tao, ng international community, lumabas na rin sa bibig mismo ni Rodrigo Duterte, na this is a political persecution case. And the timing was very clear. When Leila de Lima was questioning the war on drugs, when Leila de Lima was standing up for human rights and the rule of law, when Leila de Lima was investigated the murderous and violent drug war, anong nangyari? Inimbestigahan siya at ipinakulong siya, no? So, anong ibig sabihin doon, no? Yung facts only show that this is a political persecution case. And if that's going to be the case, even the recantations in other cases must be taken into account to take a look at the overall picture. Hindi ka pwedeng mayupik dito sa pagtingin mo dito at sa pananaw mo. Ang kailangan mong tingnan, yung bigger picture, lalong-lalo na ang depensa right from the very start ni Leila de Lima ay ito ay hindi nangyari, pawang kasinungalingan labang, pinwersa ang mga testigo, at saka ito ay political persecution case. So that's very clear. So even if there are not witnesses here, we feel very strongly that the recantations of other witnesses actually portray the real overall picture, and that is the persecution, political persecution of Leila de Lima, the silencing of a human rights defender.
Mhm. Sir, kasi may mga binabanggit na ibang witnesses dito sa third case, names which are not as familiar to most of us in the public compared to, for example, si Rafael Ragos at si Ronnie Dayan. For example, si Nonilo Arile, Engelberto Durano, Noel Martinez, Joel Capones, well, of course, Herbert Colango, and Jojo Baligad. Can you refresh our memories as to what their allegations or assertions are in comparison to the original assertions of, for example, Ragos or Dayan? Are they essentially the same?
Oh, essentially the same yan, Ed. Kasi alam mo, ang script naman pareho. Ito yung pinakain sa kanilang script. Pareho. And yun yung supposedly may drug trading sa loob ng National Bilibid Prison na totoo naman. Kaya naman natin nalaman na may drug trading sa National Bilibid Prison is because Leila de Lima herself led the biggest raid of the National Bilibid Prison. Kaya natin nalaman na may mga kubol doon kasi yung pinakamalaking raid sa history natin ni Leila de Lima, di ba? So ang ginawa nila ay ginamit nilang lahat iyan at sinabi yung drug trading daw na nagaganap ay dahil gustong suportahan yung campaign ni Leila de Lima. No? So ang essence ng testimonies nila would be may drug trading sa loob ng Bilibid, hindi sila drug trader, pero si Leila de Lima ang drug queen. Parang ganyan yan pero may isang, pag umamin naman sila na drug trader sila, kakasuhan namin ng drug trading, ayaw naman kasuhan ng Department of Justice. So yun yung nangyari doon no? So sabi nila, paano, drug trader ka ba o hindi? Pag tinanong namin sa cross-examination, hindi po ako drug trader. Paano mo nasabing binigay mo yung pera kay Leila de Lima? Sino nag-drug trade dito kung hindi ikaw? So ayaw nila umamin kasi alam na, papahamak sila. May isa lang umamin dyan sa kasong yan. Doon kinasuhan namin, ayaw naman kasuhan ng Department of Justice.
Well, sir, of course, we're not lawyers, no? Pero, so how do you proceed from there? I mean,
alam mo, right from the very start, itong kaso na ito shouldn't have reached this far. Alam mo yun, ikaw ba, Ed, kuha tayo ng convicted criminal of a crime involving moral turpitude sa loob ng Bilibid. Gawang kaya kita ng kwento. At gawan natin ng kwento lahat ng mga executives yun dyan sa inyong channel, di ba? Tapos sasabihin na lang nila, gawa-gawa lamang laway ang puhunan. Totoo lahat yun, paniniwalaan natin. Hook, line, and sinker. Ganun ang nangyayari sa kasong ito. And it shouldn't have reached this far precisely because if you will evaluate the testimonies of these individuals right from the very start, their credibility has already been tainted. Hindi yan takot sa perjury. Hindi yan takot pag sinungaling sa witness stand. Bakit? Nakakulong na perjury. Ano namang incentive niya to disincentive niya kasi matatakot siya makulong? Nakakulong na At right from the very start, tandaan natin sila yung mga ibang mga drug lords dyan, yung mga convicted felons na yan, like sila Peter Ko, 2 days or 3 days before pinag-testify yan sa House of Representatives, pinagsasaksak yan yung kutsilyo nag-pierce pa dun sa lungs niya. So apart from the fact na nakakulong, hindi ba evidence of duress yun? physical duress, that their lives are under threat if they will not do the bidding of those people who has custody of them. Kasi this is the executive. Ang allegation dito, political persecution to perpetrated by the executive, perpetrated by the state, tapos nasa custody sila ng state, tapos pinor sila mag-testify, sinaksak muna sila, tapos gumawa ng kwento, tapos pinaniwalaan nating lahat, di ba? I mean, what kind of precedent are we setting for this particular case? Which is why we intend to question the order, and we intend to move for reconsideration. Yung tanong naman namin, tanong yan sa bayan ng Pilipino, bakit natin paniniwalaan bigla yung mga convicted criminals of crimes involving moral turpitude as if they're very honest individuals who have good reputation in our society, di ba?
Well, sir, for context lang, si Ragos tsaka si Dayan, they're of course they're not detainees. I mean, they're not convicted criminals. So iba yung kanilang kumbaga, iba yung kanilang sitwasyon. Hindi gaya ng mga ito na hanggang ngayon nakakulong.
Oo, yung kay Ragos tsaka yung kay Dayan nga, halos hindi na pinaniwalaan ang criminal case 165, 166 ng West doon eh. Bakit? Anong sabi? May reasonable doubt kasi nga umurong yung mga yan. Tapos itong mga felons, yun ang pinaniniwalaan natin. Di ba? It creates an absurd situation and a bad example, no? And a precedent that is quite dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Pero sir, in the end, ang ruling kahapon ng korte dun sa bill is the evidence is strong, and therefore kailangan ipagpatuloy with the De Lima in custody or in jail. So actually I was wondering about that. I know it's I think naman it's usually the wording also used by other courts when they decide on bail hearings. Pero when the court says, for example, that the evidence is strong against the accused, is that a prejudging or not necessarily yet?
Hindi pa naman, no? Kasi ang sabi nga rin ng court doon sa last paragraph, no, even though meron siyang preliminary finding na gano'n, hindi pa iyon judging the entire merits of the case, no? So ibig sabihin, marami pang mga ebidensya na pwede presenta, pwede pa rin kami magpresenta ng ebidensya to prove the innocence of Leila de Lima. Pero naniniwala kami na even yung appreciation ng trial judge at this point in time is a reversible error. Bakit reversible error? Kasi even the order itself actually recognizes na ang ebidensya lamang ay puro testimonial. Evidence. Testimonial evidence right from the very start ng mga witnesses who are convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude and who are confessing before the honorable court that they are trading drugs pero hindi kinakasuhan ng gobyerno. What does that look like to you and to everyone, di ba? Nagko-confess na nga na drug lord siya, ayaw kasuhan ng gobyerno kasi kasama sila sa script. Pero yung si Leila de Lima na tinuturo nila, ang daming kaso. Pero nagko-confess na, drug lord ako, ayaw kasuhan ng gobyerno. Bakit gano'n, di ba? So, yung script na ito, very obvious and very clear. And yung credibility ng mga witnesses na ito shouldn't have been believed by right from the very start, even the prosecution. When during the probable cause stage, in the determination of probable cause, ang meron rin lang sila yung testimonya. Hindi ba? Probable cause pa lang Ang tatanungin mo doon, naniniwala ba ako dito? Most probably. Hindi Hindi ka nga maniniwala doon, alam mo, Ed, sa ating criminal justice system, yung mga convicted criminals of crimes involving moral turpitude, bawal nga mag-dispose ng sarili nilang property. Sarili nilang property.
Sir, bawal
mag-dispose ng sarili nilang property. Sarili nilang property yun. Bakit? Kasi society distrusts them. So yan. Tapos ngayon, all of a sudden, pinaniniwalaan natin yung bawal kang bumoto yung mga yan. May perpetual may disqualification yan. Bawal magsilbi someday sa public office. May perpetual disqualification niya unless mapardon yun, di ba? Ano ibig sabihin nun? We don't trust them as a society because yung morality nila is to begin with flawed. And they are convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. Why is it that we're all of a sudden believing, di ba, the testimonies of these witnesses? There's something wrong there. And we know for a fact as an entire society na hindi dapat ipakulong ang human rights defender, ang dating Department of Justice Secretary, ang dating chairperson of Commission on Human Rights, only because some incredible witnesses claim a story that is clearly scripted under the context of a violent war on drugs perpetuated by a murderous regime being questioned by the accused. Di ba? Yun yung konteksto nito. So huwag natin kakalimutan yung overall context and overall picture of the persecution of Leila de Lima.
Well, sir, yun nga. So, let me just be clear with what you said kanina. Reversible. Kasi it's easy to mistake.
Error.
It's easy to mistake reversible with irreversible. Ilang yan eh. So, reversible error with an R.
We think that is our stand, and that is why we're going to exercise the legal remedies available to Leila de Lima, and foremost of which is a motion for reconsideration.
Yes, sir. Pero sir, I get what you mean. Hindi pa prejudge ang case by the judge. Pero kahit paano, however way you look at it, meron siyang finding na may prima facie na, or at least at first blush, na indicators na that she was allegedly involved in drug trading. So kahit paano, I suppose, kahit paano, the judge is a little bit more partial already to that side. Well, tell me if I'm getting this right. Kasi meron siyang ganung finding to begin with, na strong evidence that has to be overturned now. Is that correct?
Basta hindi kami ang nagsabi nun. So, the public can perceive that way, but of course we hope not. We hope that the honorable judge will take a look at the evidence clearly, and of course decide with neither fear nor favor. Yan lang naman yung prayer nating lahat, di ba? In order for a justice system to work, we need courageous individuals who will judge the case based on the merits, based on the evidence on the record, with neither fear nor favor. So yun yung aming pinananalangin, no? Malinaw rin kasi dun sa order na testimonial evidence na nga lang ang meron tayo. Bakit parang walang naka-reflect sa aming cross-examination? Ang nakalagay lang, hindi raw natinag. Pero there are specific areas in the cross-examination which we intend to raise in our motion for reconsideration na malinaw, na hindi consistent yung testimonies, incredible yung story, no? Talagang para itong fairy tale na katang-isip lamang, kasi katang-isip naman talaga na inimbento, and these are all manufactured evidence and testimonies meant to silence a dissenter.
Sir, pero ito ay bail pa lang na pagdesisyonan eh. Where are we as far as the main case is concerned?
So the prosecution is set to present their other pieces of evidence outside of bail, no? So meron pa yung 4 settings if I'm not mistaken. And then we will exercise the remedies available to us bago mag-proceed sa evidence in chief ni Leila de Lima. So hopefully, matapos na ito sa lalong madaling panahon. No? Ito na yung pinakamahabang at magastos na kasinungalingan sa Pilipinas. So gusto na rin namin matapos ito sa lalong madaling panahon.
But do we have, of course, in the end, it's going to be the court that will decide this. Pero in the end, do you foresee any timetable for this case to be resolved?
There's actually a Supreme Court decision, Supreme Court order, no? Specifically for this case, ordering the judge to finish it within a year. So, dapat tapos na ito within a year.
Okay. Sir, last question. Si Secretary Remulla was saying yesterday na if the defense took a different tack in their filings, baka nakalaya si Senator De Lima, yung writ of habeas corpus daw sana yung isinampa. What do you think of that?
Well, meron pa kang comment, diba, si Secretary Remulla na, kasi gusto magpasikat ng mga
Yes, sir.
Abogado, no? I mean, yung mga ganong kasing hirit, hindi naman dapat, diba? As overall officers of the court, we're all lawyers, and we know for a fact that the reason when lawyers are fighting for the cases of their clients on the merits, it is not because gusto nila magpasikat. Rather, gusto nilang ma-make sure that justice will be served on the merits for their clients. It is in fact our sworn duty and our sworn mandate to do so. Now, yung suggestion niya noon pa na sana gamitin yung habeas corpus case is well noted, And in fact, sana totoo na concerned sila sa case ni Leila de Lima at hindi naman ito script lamang, no? But right from the very start, we've also pointed out that we are open to the Gigi Reyes doctrine case, the habeas corpus track. But the Gigi Reyes case, ang big fundamental difference is na-deny na yung petition for bail niya doon. Tandaan natin ang habeas corpus is an extraordinary remedy.
Yeah.
Ibig sabihin, gamitin mo muna yung foremost remedy mo. And ang foremost remedy namin at that point in time is the bail. Now, na ngayon na-deny na yung bail, we are now open, of course, and we're studying very thoroughly in consultation with Senator Leila de Lima, our client. In fact, some of the councils are going there right now to discuss this track, no? But definitely, all this remedy is something that we have considered and we are still considering.
Okay. Attorney Dino De Leon, abogado po ni Senator Leila de Lima. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you very much, Ed. Gusto ko lang sabihin last na pala, if I may,
Yes, sir.
ay pagdasal natin sa Senator Leila de Lima, wag tayong mapagod na manmanan yung justice system, di ba? Kasi if there's anything that we've learned from this recent order, ito ay tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang persecution ni Leila de Lima under this Department of Justice led by Boying Remulla and under this administration.
Okay. Attorney De Leon, sir, thank you for joining us this morning. Ingat po.
Salamat po.
The Office of Civil Defense is currently monitoring the increasing activities of the Taal and Mayon volcanoes over the past few days. PHIVOLCS placed Taal volcano under Alert Level 1 and raised Alert Level 2 over Mayon volcano. How should residents living close to the two volcanoes prepare? Let's find out on today's agenda.
Maria Antonia Bornas currently serves as the Chief of the Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Division at the Philippine Institute for Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS. Bornas is a Filipino scientist who has been in the front lines in the name of public service.
And of course, we have with us this morning on agenda Maria Antonia Bornas, Chief of the Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Division of PHIVOLCS. Ma'am, magandang umaga and welcome to agenda. Ma'am, can you hear us?
Hello, magandang umaga po sa inyo, Sir Ed.
Good morning po.
Good morning po.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning po. Thank you for joining us. Alam ko, medyo maaga. But makikibalita muna kami. Kamusta po? Taal, tsaka Mayon. What's the latest?
Balik ko sa Mayon. Hello po. Narinig niyo po
Yes,
pa
ma'am.
ako? Sorry, I'm road pa kasi, no? So, sa Mayon Volcano po, nakapag-record po tayo ng 98 rock falls, no? Over the past 24-hour period. Kanina at kahapon po ay nakapag-record po tayo ng 332 tons per day na sulfur dioxide emission. Ito po ay nasa background level lang ng mga SO2 ng Mayon, no? Pero yung mga rock falls po, napapansin po natin na dumadami na naman at medyo lumalakas na po ang energy. Ibig sabihin, mas malaki na pong tipak ng lava ang bumabagsak mula po dito sa lava dome na nasa bunganga ng bulkan. So, ang Taal Volcano naman po, kahapon ay nakapagtala ng isang volcano tectonic earthquake at yung yung volcanic tremor na na-record po natin noong Friday pa, June 2, ay patuloy po hanggang ngayon at pawang humina lamang po ang lakas ng bahagya. Ngunit nagbubuga pa rin po ng mataas na sulfur dioxide ang Taal. Kahapon po, nasukat po sa more or less 5,700 plus tons per day ang emission nito. At nagkaroon pa rin po ng VOG o yung tinatawag na volcanic smog sa paligid po ng Taal Lake. Ang pinakamataas po na sukat ng sulfur dioxide ngayong taon ay nakuha po natin noong June 5 at umabot po ng 9,391 tons per day.
Ma'am, essentially, are we still seeing an increase in activity, bale? Kumbaga, lalo pa nagiging mas aktibo o nag-taper down na po?
Ang Mayon Volcano po seems to be escalating a bit. Ang Taal po nasa within the mababang level pa lang po ng unrest. No? Wala po tayo nakikitang other parameters na sumasabay po sa mataas na sulfur dioxide emission ng Taal.
Kumbaga I don't know kung tama sabihin to, mas kailangan bantayan yung mayon dahil mas malaking posibilidad na ng eruption, tama ho ba?
Tama po 'yun. Meron po talagang possibility ng magmatic eruption, significant magmatic eruption sa Mayon volcano po, no? Kasi ito po yung typical behavior ng Mayon bago po ito pumutok, ay nagkakaroon muna po ng dome building activity at nagkakaroon muna po ng pagdami ng rockfall events.
Ma'am, yung rockfall events, ano po yun, no? That's pressure from inside the volcano to push the rocks out of the crater. Is that correct?
Opo, tama po yan. So meron pong nakapirmi na kasi na lava dome sa bunganga ng bulkan. Ito po ay parang half sphere of lava na nakaplug po dun sa bunganga ng bulkan. We noticed that this was growing last year, kaya po tayo nagtaas ng alert level noon. Dahan-dahan po, medyo mabagal po yung labas niya dahil sa mababa po ang volcanic gas, so mababa po yung gas driving force. At ngayon po, napapansin po na kapag ito po ay gumagalaw yung lava dome, nagdudulot po ito ng rockfall. So, essentially po, yung dami ng rockfall at yung energy na equivalent po dun sa volume ng bato na titipak doon sa lava dome at nagko-collapse doon sa upper slopes, ito po ay parang proxy ng rate ng paglabas po ng lava sa bunganga ng bulkan. So kapag ito po ay dumadami, ang rockfall, at medyo lumalakas ang energy, ibig sabihin po, medyo bumibilis ng kaunti ang rates ng paglabas ng lava.
Okay. Well, maraming salamat po. Maria Antonia Bornas, hepe po ng Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Division ng PHIVOLCS.
You're welcome po, sir. Ingat po tayo.
Ingat po, prate. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you po.
Thank you po. And this has been Agenda. I'm sitting in for Cito Beltran. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.